I bet you didn't know how Adolf Hitler's early life was marked by disappointment and a search for belonging. Born in Austria in 1889, young Adolf dreamt of becoming an artist. He even applied to the Vienna Academy of Fine Arts, hoping to hone his skills. However, his application was rejected, leaving him feeling lost and frustrated. This period of his life proved crucial in shaping his worldview. The Austro-Hungarian Empire, where he lived, was a melting pot of nationalities. Struggling to find his place, Hitler developed a deep-seated resentment towards minorities and foreigners. He became increasingly drawn to extreme nationalist ideas. These ideologies preached German superiority and blamed other groups for Germany's problems. This toxic mix of resentment and radical nationalism laid the foundation for his future actions. This period of his life offers a glimpse into the making of a dictator. It reminds us that even seemingly insignificant events can shape an individual's path, leading them down dangerous roads. Please like the video, share it with your Class 9th friends, and subscribe to Concepts Made Simple AF. The aftermath of World War I brought Germany to its knees. The Treaty of Versailles, signed in 1919, imposed harsh punishments on the defeated nation. Germany lost territory, faced crippling economic sanctions, and bore the sole responsibility for the war. This humiliation fueled widespread anger and resentment among Germans, creating fertile ground for extremist ideologies to take root. Hitler, deeply affected by Germany's defeat, found his calling in politics. He joined the German Workers' Party, a small group that shared his nationalist and anti-Semitic views. His powerful speeches, filled with passionate rhetoric and promises of restoring Germany's lost glory, resonated with the disillusioned masses. The Nazi Party, as it came to be known, quickly gained popularity. Hitler's charisma and the party's simple solutions to complex problems attracted a wide range of followers. Economic hardship, political instability, and widespread fear of communism further fueled the Nazi rise. Exploiting this volatile climate, Hitler and the Nazis staged a failed coup in 1923. Despite its failure, the event brought Hitler national attention and cemented his image as a strong leader. His subsequent trial, where he skillfully defended his actions, further increased his popularity. By the late 1920s, the Nazi Party had become a significant force in German politics. The Great Depression, which hit Germany particularly hard, played into their hands. Exploiting the economic misery and social unrest, the Nazis presented themselves as the only hope for a desperate nation. In 1933, Hitler was appointed Chancellor of Germany. This marked a turning point in German history. With cunning and ruthlessness, he quickly consolidated his power, transforming Germany into a totalitarian state. He suppressed all opposition, eliminating political rivals and silencing dissenting voices. Freedom of speech and the press vanished. The Nazis controlled all aspects of life, from education and culture to the economy and the military. Hitler's ideology of racial purity and Aryan supremacy permeated every facet of society. Jews, deemed enemies of the state, faced systematic persecution and discrimination. The world watched with growing concern as Hitler rebuilt the German military, defying the restrictions of the Treaty of Versailles. The stage was set for a new and even more devastating global conflict. On September 1, 1939, the world watched in horror as German tanks rolled into Poland. This act of aggression marked the beginning of World War II, a conflict that would engulf the globe and cost millions of lives. Hitler's ambition to create a vast German empire in Europe had plunged the continent into darkness. The invasion of Poland triggered a chain reaction. Great Britain and France, bound by treaties to defend Polish sovereignty, declared war on Germany. What began as a regional conflict quickly escalated into a global war, with battles fought across Europe, Africa, Asia, and the Pacific. Hitler's Blitzkrieg, a military tactic emphasizing speed and overwhelming force, initially proved devastatingly effective. German forces swiftly conquered Poland, Denmark, Norway, the Netherlands, Belgium, and France, sending shockwaves across the world. The seemingly invincible Nazi war machine seemed unstoppable. The world held its breath, wondering who would dare to challenge Hitler's relentless advance. Section 5. Lightning Strikes, Early Nazi Victories. In the early years of World War II, Hitler's gamble seemed to pay off. His armies, fueled by a potent mix of military prowess and ruthless ambition, achieved a string of stunning victories. France, once considered a formidable military power, fell in just 6 weeks. The Battle of Britain, a fierce air campaign waged over the skies of England, tested the resolve of the British people. Despite relentless bombing raids by the Luftwaffe, the German Air Force, Britain refused to surrender. This defiance proved crucial in preventing a Nazi invasion of the island nation. Emboldened by his triumphs in Western Europe, Hitler turned his attention eastwards. In June 1941 he launched Operation Barbarossa, a massive invasion of the Soviet Union. This decision would prove to be a fatal miscalculation, marking a turning point in the war. Despite initial successes, the German offensive stalled as winter set in. The vast distances, harsh weather conditions, and fierce resistance of the Soviet people took a heavy toll on the invading forces. The war on the Eastern Front would become a brutal war of attrition, claiming millions of lives on both sides. Section 6. The tide turns, from Stalingrad to D-Day. The Battle of Stalingrad, fought between August 1942 and February 1943, became a symbol of Nazi Germany's declining fortunes. This brutal urban warfare, fought street by street and house by house, resulted in horrific casualties on both sides. The German defeat at Stalingrad marked a turning point in the war, shattering the myth of Nazi invincibility. Meanwhile, in North Africa, the Allied forces were gaining ground. The British victory at El Alamein in 1942 marked the beginning of the end for German dominance in the region. In 1943, Allied forces landed in Sicily, paving the way for the liberation of Italy from fascist rule. On June 6, 1944, D-Day, the Allied forces launched a massive amphibious assault on the beaches of Normandy, France. This daring operation, involving troops from the United States, Britain, Canada, and other Allied nations, marked the beginning of the liberation of Western Europe from Nazi control. Despite facing fierce resistance, the Allied forces gradually pushed inland, liberating Paris in August 1944. The tide of the war had turned decisively against Hitler and his crumbling Third Reich. Section 7. The walls close in Germany's final stand. As Allied forces advanced from the west and Soviet troops pressed from the east, Germany found itself caught in a vice. The once mighty Wehrmacht, battered and depleted, fought desperately to defend the shrinking borders of the Third Reich. Cities across Germany lay in ruins, devastated by Allied bombing raids. Civilians facing shortages of food, medicine, and basic necessities bore the brunt of the war's devastation. Despite the increasingly desperate situation, Hitler refused to surrender, clinging to the delusional belief that Germany could still achieve victory. The Battle of the Bulge, a last-ditch German offensive launched in December 1944, temporarily slowed the Allied advance but ultimately failed to turn the tide. As Allied forces closed in on Berlin, the Nazi leadership faced the inevitable collapse of their regime. The horrors of the Holocaust, the systematic genocide of Jews and other groups deemed undesirable by the Nazis, came to light as Allied forces liberated concentration camps across Europe. The world reeled in horror at the scale of Nazi atrocities, further cementing Hitler's place in history as one of the most reviled figures of all time. Section 8. The Bunker and Beyond, Hitler's Downfall and Legacy. In the final days of the war, Hitler retreated to his underground bunker in Berlin, isolated and surrounded by his dwindling inner circle. As Soviet troops closed in, the once unstoppable dictator faced the consequences of his actions. On April 30, 1945, with Soviet soldiers just a few blocks away, Hitler committed suicide. His dream of a 1,000-year Reich lay in ruins, a testament to the folly of his ideology and the catastrophic consequences of his ambition. With Hitler's death, the remaining Nazi leaders surrendered to the Allies, marking the end of World War II in Europe. The world emerged from the conflict scarred and forever changed by the horrors it had witnessed. Hitler's legacy remains one of death, destruction, and unimaginable suffering. His name stands as a warning against the dangers of unchecked power, blind nationalism, and the poisonous ideology of hate. Section 9. Remembering the darkness, embracing the light. The rise and fall of Adolf Hitler offer crucial lessons for humanity. His story reminds us of the fragility of peace and the importance of safeguarding democratic values. It underscores the dangers of unchecked power, blind obedience, and the dehumanization of others. By remembering the horrors of the Nazi era, We commit ourselves to preventing such atrocities from happening again. We must be vigilant in combating all forms of intolerance, discrimination, and extremism. Education plays a vital role in this endeavor. By learning from the past, we can create a more just and peaceful future for all. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, share it with your Class 9th friends, and subscribe to Concepts Made Simple AF for more engaging and informative videos on history and other fascinating topics. Let's continue exploring the world together, one concept at a time.